62% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, how? I'm shocked and saddened. Let me tell you why this film is so not a 62% and why I passionately really dislike this Sony PlayStation Studios production. Until Dawn is based on the 2015 interactive survival horror game for the PlayStation console, which I haven't personally played, so I can't tell you how close the film follows the game, but I hear that it takes a lot of liberties. The film is directed by David F. Sandberg, who I really like for films like Lights Out and Shazam, and I really actually enjoy his YouTube channel. I think he's a really cool guy. You don't see a lot of directors with YouTube channels, and he's a very down-to-earth kind of guy, and I really like the guy, very humble. This film, though, I think it's really the writer's fault here. Written by writers of the new Salem's Lot movie on HBO Max, and the other writer responsible for the film The Whole 10 Yards. Not really off to a great start here. The film stars Anora's Ella Rubin as Clover, who, along with a group of friends, go out looking for her missing sister, Melanie, who went out to find her own way and again winds up missing for some reason. Using a missed video call from Melanie where she's standing in front of a small town gas station, they decide to start looking for clues at the gas station, which leads them to the small coal mining town of Glore Valley, where they find a welcome center, where they start to piece together the clues of the missing sister. When they get inside, they see missing posters of all these missing people, one including the director, which I thought was kind of a cool call out. As they try to figure out where Melanie might be, they realize that they're stuck in a Groundhog's Day situation, where if they die, they go back to where they started when they arrived at the Welcome Center. And if they don't survive until dawn, timed cleverly with an hourglass on the wall, they have to go back and back and back again to the same day over and over and over again until they survive the night. Now that I think about it, that hourglass on the wall, why would they need that? I mean, wouldn't they see the sun coming up and it being dawn and that made it? I don't know. Even though this whole Groundhog Day scenario has been used over and over again, it's still, at least to me, fun if it's done the right way. Like Happy Death Day. I thought that was kind of clever. This film does not do it right at all, though. The only reason I didn't want them to die is so that this movie would finally be over. It probably works best as a video game, as most video game movies do. I honestly don't know why they keep making movies from games like Silent Hill, Hitman, Borderlands, Resident Evil, Five Nights at Freddy's, Mortal Kombat, Rampage, Uncharted. I mean, I could go on and on. Most video games turn movies don't work, guys, and are quick money grabs because fans of these games want to see a live-action version for some reason. But in most cases, they just freaking suck. Usually, I try to list off all the things that I enjoyed about a bad film before I tear it down, but this film, look, I tried. I really tried to think of one thing that I liked about this film, and the only thing that I could think of was that I really liked the choice for the end credits song. That's it. The movie is just one big horror film cliche after another. Nothing new or interesting, no new ways to scare the audience. Every scare is expected and not scary. The characters I just don't care about. Peter Stormare plays a weird psychiatrist, Dr. Hill, trying incredibly hard to ditch his accent but not really succeeding. I just kept hearing his character from Seinfeld.
That was my mail-order bride.
Hey, you weren't home, so I signed for her.
Or his character from Fargo.
We stop at Pancake House.
This movie throws every horror movie trope at you, hoping that something will stick, hoping to scare you somehow. Everything from weird, creepy baby dolls, zombies, a Friday the 13th like Jason Killer but in a marionette mask, a witch, a creepy clown doll, a rocking chair that rocks by itself, being trapped underground, a scary, gritty psychiatric ward, a creepy carnival, and whatever haunted house-like scare you could probably think of. A lot of the death scenes try to be creative but come off really stupid, like a scene where they decided to trap themselves in the bathroom so that nothing can get to them and kill them, but then they realize after drinking water that they violently all explode one after another, which could have been funny, I guess. It could have been a funny scene if it was done right, but it just came off cheap and kind of stupid. When someone's dying, they're more put off by the event than painfully hurt by it. Every time someone dies, they don't seem to really acknowledge the pain very much, but when something pops out at them, they're freaking out and screaming. There are times where they decide to kill each other, then to live out the rest of the night, sort of like a reset button. And when they do it, they hardly make a noise or seem to care that much, just like hitting the reset button on a PlayStation. The visual effects and the set design at times are pretty good, I guess, but then the set design feels like a cheap haunted house at times too. The reason behind what's going on is pretty ridiculous and honestly doesn't really answer how this is all happening or what's behind it all really. There is a main bad guy and a half-baked give an answer to why he's doing all this, but it doesn't really answer any questions, which is strange because the town they are in has a backstory, but there's no real connection to this backstory and why this place won't let you leave unless you survive the night. This whole genre of teen horror in the same setup as films like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, The Faculty, House of Wax, a lot of which came from the 80s and 90s, is kind of played out by now. All these horror films where they give you a group of teens or college kids just enough so enough people die, but leave one left behind alive for the sequel. It was fun back in the day, but come on, man, it's so played out. It's such a lazy writing tool, pulling from or stealing from all these other films that are much better. The group of, I guess, these college kids that they give you, I don't care about at all because there isn't any real setup to care about them. One girl who keeps talking about how she's a psychic in the beginning of the film so they can pay off the end of the film is the only character development that she gets. There is no character development for these characters that you need in order to care about them. You really don't care if they get out alive in this film. You just don't care. You haven't made that connection with character or can really relate to any of them, on a personal level at least. The cinematography was pretty much what you would expect, nothing new, nothing original or surprising. The score's okay, but it relies on getting louder when there's a scare, which is sort of cheap in my opinion. The writing was so freaking bland and boring. The jokes attempted in the film were so cringy and not funny. Nothing witty or creative. There isn't anything written for any character to give them a personality that is really that different from one another, except for the guy who wants to run off and leave everyone behind and save himself maybe. But all the characters felt like the same person. The way the film ends is pretty disappointing. You don't get an epilogue of what the surviving characters are doing after this situation. They actually just leave and that's it. There is a last scene that sets up the sequel, which made me really angry watching it. It just tells you that there's another place where this is all happening, taken away from the relevance of the town's backstory to set up the premise of the film. I hated this film. Until Dawn is a quick money grab that seems to be working for PlayStation, pandering to their fans of the games, but never pulling off a great original story based on the game. It is a boring, below-average video game horror film that I never want to relive again. Everything about this film is just your basic run-of-the-mill cliche horror film that uses every stolen trope from every horror film and haunted house that you could think of to cover all the bases for horror fans. It's one of the worst films that I've personally seen this year, and that's why I'm giving it a half a star. And the only reason is because it achieved the fact that it's a movie in theaters, which it probably shouldn't be now that I think about it. But it did bring people to the theater, so half star. It is rated R, a strong R for lots of bloody death scenes, violence, language, lots of violence, and jump scares. So let me know what you thought of Until Dawn. Does it really deserve 62% on Rotten Tomatoes? I mean, come on. I have a feeling that score is going to be dropping pretty drastically in the next week or so. But am I wrong about this movie? Let me know what you liked about it or what you hated about it in the comments. Like and subscribe to get more on my take of all the new major releases. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And remember, don't wait till it streams. Let's go to the theater and let's see it together.
Up the road, there's a place stuck in time.